Hello everyone, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, then subscribe to this channel. Emily Dickinson, a withdrawn and mysterious figure in American writing, is prestigious for her significant and creative verse. Notwithstanding carrying on with an existence of relative disconnection, Dickinson's work lastingly affects writing and keeps on being commended for its inventiveness, profundity, and profound reverberation. This paper investigates her initial life, abstract profession, interesting style, and getting through inheritance. Early life: Emily Dickinson was brought into the world on December 10, 1830, in Amherst, Massachusetts, into a noticeable and persuasive family. Her dad, Edward Dickinson, was a legal counselor and lawmaker, while her mom, Emily Norcross Dickinson, came from a regarded neighborhood family. Emily had a more seasoned sibling, Austin, and a more youthful sister, Lavinia. Dickinson's initial years were set apart by a moderately special childhood. She went to Amherst Foundation, where she got major areas of strength for especially in writing, science, and theory. Dickinson succeeded scholastically and showed an early interest recorded as a hard copy and verse. Her time at the foundation was critical in molding her scholarly turn of events and abstract interests. In 1847, Dickinson momentarily went to Mount Holyoke Female Theological School, yet she battled with the foundation's severe strict air and left after under a year. She got back to Amherst, where she spent most of her life. Withdrawn life and composing, Emily Dickinson's life in Amherst was described by its detachment. She resided quite a bit of her grown-up life in disengagement, seldom leaving her family's home and keeping up with a couple of cozy connections. Her isolation has captivated researchers and biographers, prompting different translations of her life and work. During her isolated years, Dickinson was a devoted journalist, trading letters with companions, family, and artistic colleagues. These letters frequently uncovered her sharp keenness, mind, and significant reflections on life, demise, and the regular world. A large number of her sonnets were written as letters to her journalists, giving a brief look into her inward life and innovative flow. In spite of her separation, Dickinson's correspondence with scholarly figures like Thomas Wentworth Higginson, a supervisor and pundit, assumed a part in the possible distribution of her work. She looked for input and guidance from Higginson, despite the fact that she stayed careful about the more extensive abstract world. Interesting style: Emily Dickinson's verse is outstanding for its eccentric style and structure. Her work frequently digressed from customary wonderful shows, utilizing imaginative methods and a particular voice. A few vital highlights of her verse include structure and construction. Dickinson's sonnets are described by their utilization of short lines, sporadic meter, and whimsical accentuation. Her trademark utilization of runs makes a feeling of delay and vagueness, taking into consideration various understandings. This inventive way to deal with structure and construction added to the uniqueness of her verse. Topics and symbolism: Dickinson's verse investigates many topics, frequently mirroring her thoughtful and philosophical nature. Key subjects in her work include demise and eternality. Dickinson regularly expounded on death and the great beyond, investigating existential inquiries and the idea of mortality. Her sonnets frequently mirror a distraction with the possibility of everlasting status and eternity, scrutinizing the limits among life and passing. Nature is a common theme in Dickinson's verse, frequently filling in as a scenery for her appearance on life and presence. Her sharp perceptions of the normal world are interlaced with her philosophical thoughts, making a rich embroidery of symbolism and imagery. Love and connections: Dickinson's sonnets additionally dig into subjects of adoration, connections, and human association. Her investigation of affection is in many cases set apart by its power and intricacy, reflecting both individual and general encounters. Personality and self: the investigation of character and oneself is one more conspicuous topic in Dickinson's work. Her verse frequently mirrors her own healthy identity and her battles with cultural assumptions and individual cravings. After death distribution, Emily Dickinson's work was to a great extent unpublished during her lifetime, with a couple of sonnets showing up in neighborhood diaries. After her passing on May 15, 1886, Dickinson's sister Lavinia found a store of original copies and letters that uncovered the degree of Emily's scholarly result. The primary assortment of Dickinson's verse was distributed in 1890, altered by Mabel Loomis Todd and Thomas Wentworth Higginson. Nonetheless, this release was vigorously altered, and a considerable lot of Dickinson's capricious accentuation and capitalization decisions were modified to fit traditional principles. In the mid-20th 100 years, researchers and editors started to reconsider Dickinson's work, prompting a more precise portrayal of her verse. In 1955, a far-reaching release of her gathered sonnets, altered by Thomas H. Johnson, was distributed, giving a more dependable version of Dickinson's unique compositions. Impact on current writing. Emily Dickinson's verse significantly affects present-day writing. Her imaginative style and topical investigations made ready for ensuing ages of artists and authors. Her work has impacted a different scope of scholarly figures, including innovator writers, for example, Wallace Stevens and Ezra Pound, who respected her trial and error with structure and language. Dickinson's accentuation on private experience and emotional reality additionally resounded with later abstract developments, including existentialism and postmodernism. Her work keeps on being read up and investigated for its commitments to artistic hypothesis, brain research, and theory. Social and scholastic acknowledgement. Today, Emily Dickinson is perceived as perhaps of the most significant and powerful writer in American writing. Her work is broadly examined and shown in schools and colleges, and her verse keeps on being a subject of scholastic examination and academic discussion. Various life stories, basic examinations, and assortments of her work have been distributed, further setting her place in abstract history. Dickinson's commitments to writing have been commended through different honors, praises, and widespread developments, guaranteeing that her inheritance perseveres. Emily Dickinson's life and work address a significant and getting-through commitment to American writing. Her isolated way of life, inventive idyllic style, and investigation of perplexing topics have established her standing as a spearheading and compelling writer. Notwithstanding living in relative disengagement, Dickinson's work keeps on resounding with perusers and researchers, offering bits of knowledge into the human condition and the idea of presence. Her verse's one-of-a-kind structure and content mirror her scholarly interest and philosophical profundity, making her a fundamental figure in the scholarly standard. Emily Dickinson's heritage is a demonstration of the force of individual articulation and the getting-through effect of inventive virtuoso. Her work stays a rich wellspring of motivation and reflection, welcoming perusers to investigate the intricacies of life, demise, and the human experience. Thank you for watching.